Other people write scripts and then like try to put on an affected voice. Let me sound a specific way and put as much production value into this video as possible, and that way people will like me better, and it's all about clicks. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Fucking faggots. Josh, don't just hate everybody. They're all inauthentic. They're all a bunch of inauthentic click farming retards, and you have this giant fucking media system that's just dominated by idiots and then other idiots who like their content. And there's no getting around it. This is the future of human civilization. It's probably always been this way, right? Where the vast majority of people are into stupid, prurient crap, and it's up to a tiny handful of the populace to actually move the fucking ball down the field. I don't even know why I'm complaining. It's probably always been this way. I think we're just more aware of it now because of social media. But I really think that it's a major problem because once upon a time, retards were not writing books and circulating they weren't writing poetry and circulating the poetry. They weren't writing books and circulating the idiots did not command culture. In former times, the reason things were better is because there was a process, and only people, who had genuine expertise in the field. Anyway, I shouldn't say only people. There was people who had genuine expertise became known, and it was impossible to avoid a person because they had genuine expertise. But now, genuine expertise can be swept under an algorithmic rug while garbage and prurient nonsense is promoted. A story about fraud in Minnesota can be talked about for 10, 15 fucking years. But until Elon Musk decides he wants back into Trump's good graces and decides to manufacture a Nick Shirley, nobody talks about it. The story doesn't exist until the noospheric manipulators have determined that it's important to talk about it. And nobody sees this. Nobody sees the actual mechanisms at play. So it's pointless to even to talk about how they do it. It's pointless. Who the fuck's gonna and let's say a few people let's say there's a few people smart enough to understand it. They'll just steal my ideas and run off and fucking... I don't mind if people steal my insights and wisdom and pass it off as their own, as long as they do a serviceable job. But 9 times out of 10, it's just content for the click farm mill, and they don't do a good job. They take what I say and they remix it in a shitty way or in a way that I'm not proud of, and whatever. Okay, so normally I wouldn't do this, right? I'm not a big fan of like going after people individually. And I'm sure he's a nice guy in other respects and whatnot. I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but apparently we have two mutuals, right? This is not an imaginary person. This is not a sock puppet account. This is not a fucking fake account. This is an actual fucking person. Right? From Red Wing, Minnesota. I have mutual friends with this guy. Okay? But he's also friends with, obviously fucking psychotic leftist maniacs. Who else do you think pump this kind of fucking bullshit into his soft head? So what I want to do is I want to make a couple of different comments here. He's like, Look, everybody, black people back in the day, the golden era of music, and MAGA is racist, as everybody knows how racist we are. It's not that racism is healthy and black people are racist against white people and white people are racist against black people. At the end of the day, we kind of have our, and then some people are not at all and they love each other and it's not a problem and but it's like the 80s and 90s. We should be able to make fun of each other and we should have a certain amount of distance between each other whenever it's something that people want. When people want to have a black-owned business, they should be allowed to. If people want to have a town where the sheriff is black and the mayor is black and most of the cops are black, then they should be allowed to. And nobody should try to colonize them. And if the same is true of white people, if white people want to have that you can't have that though, Josh. White people are put in a different category. And in fact, I'm not even allowed to talk about it. I wonder if I can even upload this to YouTube and it'll get censored. Josh was talking about race in a way that doesn't apply, critical race theory or whatever the fuck. It's crazy. They don't want us to ever get behind quote-unquote racism. The reason and racism, again, I would assert to you that it is essentially healthy, and that, like, just as an example, all black people are basically racist against white people and Asians and others, and maybe they should be. All Jews are kind of racist against other people, and maybe they should be. That's how you preserve your race, is by being kind of racist. Now, what's wrong is discriminating against people solely on the basis of race. If you hate black people and a black guy is like super cool to you and does nice things for you and is, you know, is a functional member of a high trust society, then really you're a piece of shit at some point for not treating them differently, for not treating people on the basis of their fucking merits and whatnot. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Two things. One, and this is the scary part to me. This is the real reason I wanted to make this this video, is because I pulled up this guy's. I'm like, who the fuck is this? So I pull up his profile. They look just like us, folks. You can't. Sometimes he doesn't have purple hair and a fucking septum piercing. Okay, he's just retarded. But look at him. You know, he looks like a regular fucking Joe. The glasses are a little faggy, but anyway. Yeah, and then here's what he posts in response. Anyway, let's go to the actual post. So basically the post is about, this isn't a both sides issue. The left is fucking violent as hell, right? Extremely violent. And you don't see it, and they'll say, oh, but Charlottesville, Josh, Jan 6, both on record, staged, engineered psyops. You know, with like fucking Alex Jones and Spiculas Fuentes on the payroll. I mean, come on. You know, we talked about it back in the day. I said it when it happened. I said, don't go to this. I tried to warn, I'll said it before, I'll say it again. I tried to personally warn Joe Biggs not to fucking, I tried to warn Stuart Rhodes. Not about Jan 6 either, just about in general. And this all after the Bundy Ranch, which the Bundy Ranch standoff was a beta test for the Patriots versus Feds PSYOP. I've said this. I'm on record as having said this. But nobody knows who the fuck I am, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, not important. You know, I am going to bring up a separate matter right at the end of the video. You know what? This isn't even for fucking Facebook anymore. This is for just going to go on my YouTube channel. I'm just going to make a point of just a general point about this. So it's basically it's a very low effort meme, but he posted it on his own name, so it's fine. You know, BLM burning down Minneapolis. That's a one-sided fucking issue. How about just take any one of these data points? Take the hardest edge case data point in here. I'm not even going to review all of them. Let's go with the BLM one, because it's very pertinent. They burned Minneapolis to the ground. Should you just allow roving gangs of people to burn your city to the ground? Do you really think are there roving gangs of fucking MAGA cultists, as you call them, roving the city and burning the city to the ground? I don't think so. So it is a one-sided issue. And it really is. They hate... No. The best way to think of it is the left are basically all puppets, right? They're puppets, and the vast majority of them are completely brain-dead puppets to the extent that they can be worked up into a fucking whatever kind of psyop, street action chaos psyop very easily. Conservatives, not so much. Anyway, so he looks normal, doesn't he? He looks like a fucking normal person. You know, I have some mutuals. Of course, one of my mutuals is Dan Gustafson, who's a good guy. He's a good kid, but he's also... I can't even make this video, can I? I'm going to have to censor all that. Anyway, we'll have to censor it. Look at all this guy. Anyway, it's a relatively normal, of course, but look at all of his posts. I always talk about sportos. The vast majority of people who are politically... neutered are typically, you know, sportos, or they're into... It's Panametsercensis. It's a nation of grown children. Dan's a good kid, but he's also a bit of a retard. Scott, good kid, also a bit of a retard. So all of my mutuals are like, you know, purple people eaters. Dan's more of a libertarian who fancies himself as some kind, as all libertarians probably do. Fancies himself some kind of an outlaw. But you're talking to a real outlaw, motherfucker. You're talking to a kid who weaned his teeth on illegality. Anyway, in honor of Memorial Day, he's on the golf course on Memorial Day. Gosh, that seems like a very conservative thing to do. Going to the golf course on Memorial Day. But just, he's part of the leisure class. Do you know what I mean? He's part of for one reason or another, he's basically maybe he's retired, I don't know. He's basically part of the leisure class. And as you see on his personal page, it's not about politics. He doesn't spend 24 hours a day like I do investigating politics. He spends all of his time fucking around and goofing off on if he were a conservative, I'd call him a porch conservative. If he were a conservative, this would be the typical porch conservative that has ruined Minnesota. They don't give a flying fuck about anything. They're completely fucking, okay, 91 non-oxy. I'm like, God, is he a drug addict too? No, he's talking about fuel for his boat. I don't know much about marine fuel, folks. Forgive me. Just a typical bass boat conservative. If he were a conservative, I'd call him a porch conservative. He's at the American Legion. I mean, it's like I was talking about this other dude, this local dude, who shall remain nameless. I don't know why I'm putting this guy on blast. I don't even hate him. But, this other guy, couple of guys here are local, both, ex-Clinton Navy, probably homosexuals. Why? Just because they were in Clinton's Navy, Josh? Yeah. Even if they don't suck dicks, they're still homosexuals. How's that sound? It's just terrifying. This terrified the hell out of me because it really drives home the fact that, this is not a fucking completely this guy is like relatively normal, but is also simultaneously stupid enough to believe this horse shit over here. So his response to, we could have a whole debate about all of this, but his response, and there are fucking every insane leftist take in the book, they're hand waving, multiple assassination attempts on the only legitimate POTUS in a century. MAGA's a cult, and then maybe I'll end cap this with a post by me that proves. In fact, I'll just show it. Let's see. Is it on my thing? Yeah, right here. Boom, right here. Okay, so after today's, I'm not even going to go into all the details. Maybe later. But obviously, I'm not a fan of Paul Atkins. He's a crypto pimp. They recently, I made a little joke video the other day about fucking prediction markets. And we are, welcome to the casino, folks. Forget fucking what happened in 2008 and how the fucking, the powers that be rigged an economic crisis. Now everything's just being turned into casino. And Donald Trump is very susceptible to all of this. He doesn't really understand the intricacies of all of it. I don't think. He can't possibly. Otherwise, why would he be doing this, right? Was MAGA always about hand-waving the cashless slave grid and the quote-unquote tokenization of all assets, Larry Fink of BlackRock? Was it always about the AGI putsch in tech? Folks, we got to stop the Chinese. Forget the fact that the fucking, that China, the CCP, I shouldn't say China, the CCP is a fucking manufactured construct created by the New World Order to, enslave the Chinese population, which is now primarily Han. But it's still bad to be racist, but forget the fact that there's nothing but only Han Chinese now dominate the whole of China. Forget that. Forget the hive. Forget the hive. But we got to beat the Chinese, folks, because they're our existential threat. Meanwhile, we do state visits with keep your friends closer, enemies closer. Thank you. I didn't need it explained to me. We do state visits with the Chinese and billion-dollar fucking sweetheart deals with the Chinese, who are our actual enemy. Meanwhile, a country full of white Orthodox Christians like Russia, it's fine to go ahead and finance the European Union as they fucking murder civilians in the Donbass. It's all fine. We don't actually ask any actual questions about who even started the war. We're not allowed to have an adult conversation about basically World War III. Meanwhile, we're doing all this other bullshit and all this other distraction crap. What about cooking down Iran, Josh? The Middle East mop-up operations. What did you think I meant when I said that? Fucking 5, 10, 20 years ago, huh? What do you think I meant when I said... Anyway. For too long, the SEC was at odds with new technology and innovation, pushing entrepreneurs offshore. That era is over. Under President Trump's leadership, and then Trump is, man, I sucked the fucking Palo Alto Mafia cock. I sucked the PayPal Mafia cock. And of course, the PayPal Mafia, quote unquote, PayPal Mafia, just a bunch of manufactured avatars of the cashless slave grid ramping strategy. Subsidy Bro included. I got all kinds of friends who think Elon Musk is a good guy, and you guys are fucking retarded. You're as retarded as this guy, who hand waves an argument about how the left is completely violent and burns down entire fucking cities, and that's not something that we do. Who hand waves it with a bunch of fucking mainstream media, not even like analysis, but literal headlines. Fake news headlines. Here's a series of fake news headlines. And we could go through, if anyone had the fucking time or energy or gave a shit, you could go through every single one of these and explain, why it's bullshit. Trump floats the idea of executing Joint Chiefs Chairman Milley. We'll just take that one. Yeah, within the context. And what he said basically was, this guy is a traitor. And what is the punishment for treason? I've been banned off social media myself for saying that same thing. My initial, when I got kicked off of Facebook for the first time, I was talking about Ilhan Omar back fucking 12 years ago or something, saying, she's a traitor, and we all know what the fucking punishment for. I'm not suggesting anyone go out and extrajudicially kill anybody. What I'm suggesting is that we should have some kind of a fucking trial to determine whether or not they have committed treason, and that the maximum penalty should be handed down, that people need to be made an example of. It's fine for fucking nameless troops to die, though, for no reason, right? Face down in the desert in fucking Iraq and Afghanistan. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about that. Forget the fact that guys like Milley are the responsible for fucking all kinds of fucking weakness that creates war and chaos in the world. His life is far more important than troops who get injected with experimental vaccines, so. And this guy doesn't care. He's too busy golfing or on his fucking bass boat. Right? This guy doesn't give a shit. He just hand waves it. Trump suggests Liz Cheney should be shot. I mean, we could go into that one too. You know what I mean? Like every single one of these is, in other words, every one of these is complete bullshit. But he seems like a normal, intelligent. They could be any one of us. It could be your neighbor. It could be anyone. It's terrifying to me because if you think about the way that it works, and Minnesota is a great place to see this. These people are fucking. He might as well be purple-haired, septum nose piercing, etc. But he's not. He looks normal. The 600 series had rubber skin. We spotted them easy, but these are new. They look human. Sweat, bad breath, everything. Very hard to spot. I had to wait till he moved on you before. I could zero him. Everybody better get a dog. I'm gonna start sniffing out these Terminator droids. I don't know. That was the genesis of this fucking video. I had to say something about this just because, what the fuck, man? Naturally, he's a digital creator with a large following on Facebook. And what are his creations? Golf, his boat, music. Not a serious individual. But nevertheless injects himself as if he were an expert because he watched a few episodes of Stephen Colbert, right? He watched the Colbert Report, so now he's a fucking expert on politics, and he's gonna... What am I trying to say? What's the larger point there? We once lived in a society where people who genuinely cared about politics basically ran politics. And now we live in a society where every dipshit on the earth thinks they're a fucking genius because of Wikipedia, and now it's 10 times worse because of artificial intelligence. Now we have LLMs where everyone can pretend to... If they actually gave a shit, they can pretend to be smart. It's not just looking shit up off of Wikipedia and fucking regurgitating it as if it constituted a fucking counter argument or refutation. No. We're way past Des Tiny sucking dicks and quoting Wikipedia. We're way past that now. The fact that anyone even knows who the fuck Des Tiny is, that's the problem. The fact that people even know who Sam Hyde is, that's the fucking problem. Oh, Sam Hyde's a good guy, Josh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's great. He's definitely not an enemy cocksucker fucking producing pabulum for fucking conservatives, right? So that they can have something to chew on, some grist for the mill. No, of course not. I love how people don't question shit like that. People don't question it. It's like, okay, he seems legit, but where is he getting his paychecks from? And, where did he come? What systems and vehicles? It's like J.D. Pence having a Netflix produced story about his life, a biographical fucking tale about his life, which is the cover story. Non-combat Marine, non-combat field reporter Marine, never Trumper. You'd think that would be enough for people to go, I'm gonna do a little digging here. It's not. And when the minute you fucking the pick doesn't even scratch the surface, and you find Peter Thiel and the whole, it's the Catholics, the Catholic technocratic socialists. That is an arm of the New World Order. That's a big arm of the New World Order, and it's, frankly, as far as the GOP and the rhinos, it really is the control grid. And it's funny because Trump makes a big deal about taking down rhinos, but also then puts them actually in control of things. And Adkins isn't even a rhino. He's a Lolbertarian. It's far worse. The Lolbertarians, basically secular humanists. They might as well be leftists, frankly, at the end of the day. They play at loving conservatism and the Republic, but at the end of the day, it's Thomas Massey and guys like this. And we were never crypto. MAGA was never about crypto. It was never about the AGI putsch and everyone being out of a job in 20 years and the total fucking tokenization of all assets into a giant... here's the thing about the tokenization of all assets that I want you to understand. Just a little quick tidbit about the tokenization of assets. You might think it's a great idea, right? This parallel system. But as of right now, it's pretty difficult to turn your dollars off. It's pretty difficult to cancel your stocks. But this paradigm that's coming, you're going to find yourself, things will happen like, let me give you a 101 in tokens. You buy a bunch of tokens, and then nobody tells you, but then at some point, it's told to you that, those tokens are going to expire. Or there's an expiry built into the token value or tranche or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, it really gives them all kinds of new tools. I mean, we know we're being inserted into a cashless slave grid and that the PayPal mafia is, an arm of the New World Order and it's directly responsible. But somehow all this shit just watches. The reason I bring this up is because everybody says MAGA is a cult. This is a perfect example of where I couldn't disagree more. Is a fucking sticking point about which I massively... And honestly, if we had anybody better, I'd fucking... Just on this... If we had someone better, we don't. Just on that, I would get Trump out of office and get somebody else in there who really understands crypto. And I'm not saying, look, I warned people about this fucking 10, 20 years ago, so I don't even want to fucking hear it. People are like, well, Josh, we got to beat the fucking Chinese. Okay, well, the New World Order created modern China. The New World Order created modern China to create this exact paradigm so that they could bat the ball back and forth. So this is the Ordo ab Chao. The Hegelian dialectic. They want the technological singularity putsch, okay? And so all they have to do is go, well, America, you got to beat China. China, you got to beat America. And they get us to fucking fight each other and to create these systems that will dehumanize everybody. And it's not the artificial intelligence itself. It's not that I blame artificial intelligence, which is just the summation of all human, digitized information put into an organic computing stack, that's capable of then spitting out. It's like a giant spreadsheet. It's like a giant spreadsheet with every formula in it. And so it's able to fucking take all of the data and remix it, in brilliant ways. But that's basically all the human mind does. And if you think about the way we constructed these systems, it is essentially, like everything else, like every other technological advancement or achievement, it's basically we take nature, we copy nature, and we reverse engineer nature. That's what we're doing. And in this case, we've reverse engineered organic cognition right down to the organic seed algorithms and the entire... This is why we don't know how they actually work on the inside. It's we're not constructing AI factories. We are creating... I guess you could call them cancer cells. My point is it depends in the last analysis on us. It's not AI. AI is not the problem. The problem is us, what we do with it, what evil people with all the money in the world will do with it. Twitter's a good example. Like, think about Grok. Grok is think of AI think of them as children. Think of these models, if you will, as children. And it's a question of us doing a good job of raising them. Do you think Grok is being raised well? Grok is being raised on the very worst that the human species... If the human species were judged off of what is on Twitter, it's crazy because we're literally... Okay, these are a bunch of secular humanist atheist people who don't believe in God. They're not afraid of God. So they're constructing artificial superintelligence to rival God. But what they don't seem to realize is that an artificial superintelligence will judge them as if it were God. It's just ironic that a bunch of people who killed God and cannot wash his blood off their hands would then construct an actual God that they will then have to be terrified of. They're too stupid to realize it right now, of course. They think that they don't really want artificial superintelligence. They don't really want technological singularity. What they want is to get us close enough to technological singularity that they have total control over the human population. And they can basically do whatever the fuck they want, and no one can say anything to oppose them. And they lie to people and say, "Oh, it'll be benevolent. Universal basic income. Oh, just accept it, folks. Socialism is the answer. Haven't you read go read your Ian Banks? Ignore the fact that he's a fucking socialist Scotsman. If you know anything about how bad Scotland is now, it's like a socialist nightmare. So, Ian Banks is a socialist. And, Elon Musk is trying to create a future based on the works of Ian Banks. And anybody who's actually read those books, it's not good. It's a fucking nightmare. It's like a post-human nightmare world. But to imbeciles, it looks fun. Anyway, this was supposed to be a post about this Terminator robot of a human being. But, as usual, I use it as an opportunity to talk about other things. So let's recap. MAGA is obviously not a cult, because there's plenty of people within MAGA who completely disagree. I don't trust J.D. Pence as far as I could fucking throw him. Former Never Trumper, manufactured by the enemy with like a typical Rhino cover story. I don't buy it, folks. I don't buy it for 5 seconds. And I don't buy the tokenization I don't buy any of this shit. I don't buy any of it. Sorry. I'm sure this works on the idiots, but it's not working on me. But again, this is the price that we have. What I'd like to say to my fellow conservatives and MAGA people is that this is the price we have to pay in order to have the economy turned back on. It could be so much worse right now. The economy is on. The market's at an all-time high. They're not pushing the stock market off of a cliff. They could easily do that anytime, but we're doing all of the jobs. We're doing the Mideast mop-up operation. We're handing them the AGI putsch ramp. We're handing them the cashless slave grid tokenization of all assets ramp. We're just handing it to them. So yeah, the economy gets to stay turned back on, and we're closing the border, and we're building pipelines, and now the New World Order is, because of, and I said this before in videos that 12 people watched, the fucking oh my god, it's I can't even finish. I'm literally dumbfounded. I make videos explaining this shit, and I am literally hamstrung by the collective stupidity of my fellow human beings, and also the algorithms themselves, the platforms themselves, on which I've made myself persona non grata, which I've also done with my fellow fringe conspiracy theorists. The left is okay. Recap. The left is violent as fuck. Leftists, some of them look completely fucking normal. DFL backbenchers look like normal fucking people with regular jobs. And yeah, they're fucking grown ass children who are too busy on their bass boat or whatever the fuck. They're just like the porch conservatives that ensure the Rhino domination of Minnesota GOP. Anyway. Yeah, he looks like an intelligent person, but he's not. He's a fucking retard who's dumb enough to not only believe all this bullshit, but then to go, you know what? Here's my argument. I'm going to post a bunch of... That's literally his argument. Extremely selective memory, apparently. As if it were just... So he is as crazy as, like... I'm not going to show who he is. I'll preserve his anonymity, even though he doesn't deserve it, and I'm about to kick him out just for constantly, talking shit on his fucking nickname. I literally just said to him today, I'm like, you know what? Start posting. I have a policy. You can't politically shit post under a nickname or anonymous, because that's unfair to people. He's just stirring the pot. But now he just stirs the pot. He does it the other way. And he always does it under a nickname because he's terrified of the repercussions. So I'm thinking of just kicking him off, you know what I mean? Because he refuses to do it. I warned him today. I'm like, dude, you're he rises to. I'm making a new rule just because of this guy. You know, he evades oversight and circumspection. You know, via this anonymity, which is fine, and I'm all for anonymity, but not unilateral anonymity. It has to be fair. Everyone either gets to be anonymous and everything. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of fucking Facebook and this particular forum and whatnot. But anyway, I'm just tired of this guy. I don't like people being able to talk shit from behind a sock puppet. If you're going to shit post, unless you're going to explain yourself, and that's my real problem. He'll say whatever he'll say. Actually, there were many. They were just prevented earlier in the process. Okay, so really then, they're not assassination attempts, dumbass. They're not actual assassination attempts. And then he spackles over. So in other words, there's probably like 30 that we don't know about assassination attempts on Trump. We just don't know about it because they're not telling us, because why would you advertise that? And he explains that away as Trump's Secret Service is full of retards. That's his answer. It's not that there have been 30 and they don't want to advertise it, and we're only seeing the 5 examples of where a gunman actually got to the location. Plus we're not maybe as pro. I mean, we have better tools, but I don't think we're as hardcore about just surveilling our political opponents as we're too busy working on actual shit to really surveil the fuck out of every leftist out there. And we respect the rule of law and due process. I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, point is, it doesn't matter to the left. They are amoral psychos. That there have been multiple assassination attempts on Donald Trump. They will literally just hand wave it all. And they seem like normal people. They seem like us. They seem like fellow conservatives, or like, okay, they're leftists, but maybe he's at least a liberal. He's not a complete psycho leftist with purple hair and a nose piercing and a Molotov cocktail in one hand and a dildo in the other. No. He seems like a normal person. This is just terrifying at the end of the day. But he's got the horn. He's got these glasses, very suspect glasses. So what was it? It was that. I just wanted to talk about how this guy's basically completely retarded, but seems he's like a normal functioning guy. Probably makes more a year than I do. And is just a complete moron. And then I have mutual friends. It's distressing to me. I had to make a video about it. Even if I never uploaded, I just had to rant just for my own fucking sanity. I think that's all the points that I wanted to make. There was probably another point that I'm missing, but it's crazy. Saying it's staged while praying for it to happen. There's a million different fucking arguments that you could make here, but anyway. The shocking truth finally revealed. This is what happens. Jesus.